Have you ever heard of the Bridgeworm, or rather the Bridgeworm?
It's a very bizarre entity known for hiding under long highway bridges.
However, there are reports of people who saw a worm hiding under a small bridge, supposedly to travel long distances without being discovered.
The arms of this entity are long, around 3 meters, and its body reaches 9 meters in length. It has fingers similar to those of a human, but much more flexible. It wears a fake face that has small black tiny slits for its eyes and a small mouth, giving it a neutral expression. However, underneath that piece of flesh is its real face, with many teeth and a frightening appearance. The tissue on Bridgeworm's real face is living flesh, almost identical to that of humans, but it has some flaws. The eyes of this monster are extremely misaligned and bulge out when it moves. Depending on its hunger, it can travel great distances to find its prey. The legend of Bridgeworm began when a photo of a large creature inside a tunnel started to spread on the internet. In the photo, a large white creature with a sad face is lying on the ground with its hands on its white face. People started to speculate about the creature until a drawing appeared by an internet user in which it was labeled Bridgeworm, giving the name to the creature.
Later on, a photographer named Thomas, who had been missing for a while, had his photo found on the banks of a river.
In the photo, the real face of Bridgeworm is revealed.
The creature possibly swallowed the photographer, who was there just doing his job.
When this news was released, the legend of Bridgeworm began to spread. People started describing him as a hostile creature that acts like a spider.
He would always be clinging to bridges or overpasses, waiting for the next victim.
When someone approaches, he instantly leaves his location and annihilates them without any remorse for his actions.
So that's it. Leave your like on this video and check out more bizarre stories in the playlist.
Thanks.
Hello my friends, today we're going to learn about the legend of Baba Yaga, one of the most powerful witches of all.
She has superhuman abilities, super strength, endurance, and can repel any spell cast against her.
Besides that, this monstrous witch eats humans.
She devours her victims, leaving only bones behind. In Slavic folklore, Baba Yaga is a supernatural being who looks like an old and frightening woman.
She flies through the skies riding a mortar, erasing her tracks with her broom.
She lives deep in the forest, in a house standing on chicken legs.
It has no windows or doors. To enter the house, a person has to say the magic phrase. Turn your back to the forest,
and your front to me. That's how the door appears.
But it's not advisable to enter without permission. An example of this is that the fences of the place are made of human bones. They were probably from people who wanted to go in there.
When she's inside her dwelling, she can be found stretched out over the oven, reaching from one corner of the hut to the other.
Baba Yaga can easily sense the scent of those who approach with her gigantic nose.
She can help or hinder those who encounter her.
She helps the pure of heart and devours the impure.
They say she is a woman who was never loved throughout her life and isolated herself in the forest, consumed by envy of all those who are happy. She becomes more and more bitter and jealous when she sees a happy family. Some Russian peasants saw this witch living with a girl, and it is suspected that she steals children from couples who walk through her forest, keeping the child as if she were her daughter or granddaughter. I hope you enjoyed this video. Click here to keep watching more videos from the channel. Thanks. Hello, my friends. Today we are going to learn about an indigenous myth that begins with the young Mara, the daughter of a chief. She used to dream of finding her love and having a happy marriage. One night she fell asleep and dreamed of a handsome blonde young man. He came down from the moon and told her that he loved her. "Mara, I love you." Mara fell in love with the shining young man she had just seen. But soon the young man disappeared from her dreams. She woke up and was sad that it was all just a dream. But a few weeks after that dream, she realized she was expecting a child. It was hard to explain to her father about the origin of this child. After a few months, she gave birth to a little indigenous girl with fair skin and blonde hair, whom the tribe began to call Manny. Manny grew up and won the affection of everyone who had the chance to be around her, not only because of her unusual appearance in the region, but also because she was a very clever child and had a contagious happiness. One day the girl woke up sick and no one could get her to leave her hammock. The shaman performed healing rituals and gave her potions made from medicinal herbs, but it was all in vain. The girl couldn't resist and ended up dying. It was the saddest day in decades in that village. As was the custom of her people, Man was buried inside the hut where she lived. The whole tribe attended the funeral, and the tears of the Tupi people flooded the floor of the hut. A few days later, in the place where they buried the girl, a plant grew that was previously unknown. The Indians decided to dig it up to see what kind of plant it was. They took the plant out of the ground and, when they examined its root, they saw that it was brown on the outside and white on the inside. The Indians realized that the plant could be used as a source of food. The plant then came to be called Manioc. It's a combination of the word Mani, which was the girl's name, and Oke, which means the Indian's house, right? Because it appeared there in the Oka. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and goodbye. Hello my friends, today we're going to learn about the legend of Cabeça de Cuia. This is the story of Crispim, a young fisherman who lived on the banks of the Parnaíba River. From a poor family, Crispim lived alone with his mother, facing hardships due to the scarcity of fish in the river during the flood season. According to this legend, one day Crispim went out early to fish, but he couldn't catch any. His mother, moved by the situation, asked the neighbor for something to make lunch for her son. However, the only thing she was offered was a cow bone. With it, Crispim's mother made a thin soup without meat, using the bone just to give flavor to the water mixed with flour. When he returned tired and frustrated from fishing, Crispim became upset when he was served that bone soup. In the midst of conflict and argument, he grabbed the bone and threw it at his own mother, hitting her on the head. Before she died, his mother cast a curse on Crispim, turning him into a monster. Overcome with guilt for having killed his mother, Crispim, desperate, ran off with no destination. As he ran, his head began to grow. From then on, he would wander between the two rivers that run for many miles and meet in Teresina. His fate is to wander 6 months along the Parnaíba River and 6 months along the Poti River. According to the legend, Crispim will only be freed from the curse when he manages to devour 7 people. Some residents of these regions claim that the Cabeça de Cuia destroys anyone who gets in his way, from swimmers in the rivers to even overturning boats that pass by. So that's it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this legend. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video, alright? Today we're going to learn about the legend of the Tree of Souls. Around 1845, in a small town in the countryside of Minas, there was an urban legend about the Tree of Souls. It was located in a grove behind the city. It was huge and hollow. There was an entrance where people could go inside. People believed that the tree was a shelter for hundreds of souls who would be guardians. And they kept the evil spirits away, helping the city to prosper. Once a year, on Good Friday at midnight, they would come out of the tree for a procession through the city. They walked through all the streets, each one holding their candle in hand, giving their blessing. The residents, in turn, out of respect, were supposed to stay inside their homes.
However,
Closed, including the curtains until the procession was over. One of those nights, a girl from the city decided to look out the window. She was amazed. Hundreds of people dressed in white were reciting something that couldn't be heard. She noticed that the people were not ordinary beings, as their bodies were somewhat transparent and luminous. Amazed by what she saw, she opened the window and jumped, following them. When the procession ended, the people returned to the woods. The girl hesitated a bit to follow them, but she thought if she had already come this far, why not keep going? Standing back behind some bushes, she saw the tree and the people going in and disappearing. The last person in line stopped before entering, turned to the girl, and looked into her eyes. He started walking in her direction. For some reason, the girl didn't feel afraid and waited for the ghost to come closer. The woman handed her the candle.
a gift for your courage.
Thank you. The woman returned to the tree. Before entering, she looked at the girl again and disappeared. When the girl looked at the candle again, it had turned into a femur. Frightened, she ran home and told her parents what had happened. Her worried parents sent her back to the woods and told her she should bury the femur under the tree because they didn't want a human bone inside the house. The girl was last seen entering the woods. Her footprints could be seen up to the tree, but she was not there. Legend says that the girl can be seen during the procession. She walks carrying her candle at the very end of the line of ghosts. Hello, my friends. Today we are going to learn about a very sinister supernatural being. It had its first reports here in Brazil. In 1560, Father José de Anchieta wrote a letter that said the following. It spends most of its time on the banks of rivers and tides, and it is called Boitatá by the Indigenous people. When this creature is spotted, you can see a beam of shimmering light, shining as brightly as the sun. This creature quickly captures its prey. Whatever this thing is, I don't really know its origin or why God put it on this earth. These were the words used to describe the mythical being that the indigenous people call Boitatá. The term Boitatá is the combination of two words, right? Boi means snake and tata means fire, so it's fire snake or also thing of fire, right? Legend says, right, that a long time ago, a night lasted for a very long time, as if daylight would never return. It was a very dark night with no stars, no wind, no sound. It was a period of great silence. People stayed inside their homes and were suffering from hunger and cold.
Dad, when will we see the sun again?
I don't know, my son. I have no idea how long it's been since we've seen the sun. I'm sorry. Let's hope that one day it comes back.
There was no way to chop wood for the braziers that kept people warm, nor to hunt in that darkness. You couldn't see anything. It was an endless night. Days went by, and then the rain started. It rained a lot. There was so much rain that everything started to flood and many animals ended up dying. A giant snake that lived resting on a huge log woke up hungry and started eating the eyes of those dead animals that were shining, floating on the water. Some say they shone because of the light from the last day the animals saw. From eating so many shining eyes, that snake became radiant like fire and transparent. The snake turned into this monster called Boitatá. Whoever encounters this fantastic being can go blind, lose their mind, or even die.
Bring the cage! Let's take all these animals to the ship! They're worth a lot of money on the black market. Hurry up, you useless fools!
Boss, we heard a noise coming from over there. I'm scared.
What are you scared of? It's just another animal.
Hurry up! Don't dawdle, you fools!
Please don't kill me, I'm just a...
So, to avoid disaster, people believe they have to stay still, not breathe, and keep their eyes tightly shut. The attempt to escape from this flaming serpent poses risks for the person, because this action represents the guilt of the human. She imagines that you are in the forest, doing something wrong, destroying the forest, or hunting the animals. Boitatá is known as the protector of the forests and the fields, depriving anyone of their life in an instant. So be careful if you are walking through the forest. Today we are going to learn about the story of the pink river dolphin, also known as the pink Boto. It is believed that the legend of the Boto originated in the Amazon region hundreds of years ago. They say that on special nights like June festivals or full moon nights, the pink river dolphin appears where there are unaccompanied women. He comes out of the river transformed into an elegant young man, dressed in white and always wearing a hat to hide the hole he breathes through. His transformation does not make this characteristic of the Boto disappear. He appears to young women by the river bank or dances with them during parties. The Boto manages to seduce them with his sweet and charming manner. He takes them to the bottom of the river and in some cases ends up having a child with them, leaving them alone to take care of the children.
What a jerk.
It's not just his charm and sweet manner that make them fall for his stalk. He puts a spell on people. That leaves scars in the lives of those who knew him. After meeting the fantastic being, the women seem to fall ill with passion, entering a state of melancholy.
They become thin and pale.
Many had to be taken to the healer to return to normal and continue their lives. For this reason, when an unknown young man shows up at a party wearing a hat, he is asked to take it off to make sure he isn't a Boto. That's why people started saying that when a woman has a child from an unknown father, he's the son of the Boto. Before dawn arrives, he dives back into the river waters, turning into the Boto again. He will return several times a year to repeat this bizarre cycle.
So that's it, my friends.
Leave your like, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and click on the playlist to watch more videos. Thanks.
Hey my friends, how are you doing? Before we continue with this video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and leave your like, man.
Many people watch this channel without subscribing. Subscribe down below.
Before anything else, let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of Sete Alem? Seit Alem would be a parallel universe, an alternative reality where supposedly any of us could end up, but we just don't know when or how it will happen. Imagine you get on a bus and before you know it, that bus isn't taking the usual route. It's taking you to a place you don't know, but it's cold and dark, another universe.
You would have simply left your world and entered another reality.
It might sound crazy, but that's what we're going to talk about today.
We don't really know what Sete Alem is like.
The information we have is just characteristics told in some stories found here on the internet. Basically, Sete Alem would be something similar to our reality, just darker. The stories say that the place is dirty, dark, and the people there have deeper black eyes, looking more like the living dead than anything else. We don't have much information, but it's clearly not a beautiful place. And you wouldn't want to go there, I'm sure of that, guys. The first reports that we know of appeared a long time ago. Back when the social network Orkut was very popular, here in Brazil there was a community called Sete Alem. And it was created by Luciano Militi. In the 90s he supposedly went through a really bizarre experience. For him it was proof that the supernatural exists. And then as the years went by, 10 years later, he decided to open this community to share his story and see if more people went through the same experience. In Luciano's account, he was coming back from his college and he needed to catch the bus to go home. He could take any bus that stopped at that point because they all passed by his house. And that's why he got on any bus without even looking at the sign. He signaled and got on the bus. He sat next to someone. To make good use of his time, he took out a book and started reading. After a few minutes, Luciano noticed that the bus was taking a long time to reach its destination. And that's when the person next to him nudged him and asked the following.
You're not going to Sete Alem, are you?
Sete Alem?
What is that? What are you talking about, ma'am?
And the old lady spoke to him once again. If your destiny isn't Sete Alem, you'd better get off now. He smiled, a bit confused, looked around, and saw that everyone was staring at him. Not only did everyone look at him, but they also started screaming. Hurry up! Get out of here, you bastard! Even the driver and the fare collector started yelling and telling him to get off immediately. That's when Luciano didn't understand anything, but he got off the bus anyway. He thought it was all very strange. He had never been through anything like that, so he just got off at any stop just to get away from those weird people. When the bus drove away, he saw it taking a different route than it should have.
And it disappeared.
One of the stories that really caught people's attention was from a woman named Antonia, who supposedly lost her daughter in Sete Alem. It was a normal day. Antonia was at home when suddenly the phone started ringing. When she answered the call, she heard a man say that she needed to pick up her daughter on a staircase in a condominium. She asked, "Staircase? What are you talking about?" "My daughter is here at home. What is this guy talking about? Is this a prank call?" "Ma'am, wasn't she wearing a green shirt when she disappeared?" "If you want to pick her up, just come here to the stairs of the condominium." The woman started yelling at the guy on the phone saying, "What kind of crazy story is this? My daughter is here with me." Antonia thought it was some kind of prank and said she would call the police, and at that moment the call dropped. The next day, Antonia's daughter went for a walk with her father in the neighborhood park. And when she came back, after some time, she was very scared and was wearing a green shirt. The scared girl said she got lost in a building while she was walking with her father. Since she didn't know where she was, she started to cry and scream. Until a man with dark eyes appeared and offered help. He said she was in Sete Alem. Antonia thought her daughter was imagining things, but the girl swore to her mother that she was telling the truth. She even said that this man with dark eyes called her, warning that she would be lost in that place, on a staircase in a condominium. And all of this would have happened in just a few hours here in this world, in our reality, because according to the girl, she had stayed in Sete Alem for 7 long days. My God! And to get out of there, this man supposedly took the girl to a staircase, which she climbed and then found her father again. That's when her mother remembered the phone call from the day before and went into shock. Can you imagine going through a situation like that? You're just reading a book, minding your own business, heading home. Then some weird old lady comes up to you and tells you to get off the bus, saying your destination isn't Sete Alem and that you have to get off right now. That's crazy. And on top of that, everyone on the bus starts yelling at you, telling you to get out of there, man. That's wild, dude. So bizarre, man. I would have totally freaked out and gotten really suspicious about it, you know? That was basically Luciano's story about Sete Alem, this bizarre parallel world. After that day, 10 years later, he decided to create a community on the now defunct Orkut to see if he could find other stories from people who had also been to this place. And wouldn't you know it, his idea actually worked, man. Soon, stories about Sete Alem started circulating in his community, with people claiming various experiences. And each story was stranger than the last. The next story happened to a man named Julio. He was at a mall in his city. When he suddenly needed to use the restroom, Julio noticed that the lights flickered and then came back on. It was a matter of seconds. He washed his hands, and when he left the restroom, he was no longer in our reality. It seemed like he was in a completely different mall. According to him, the people looked very similar, but were scary at the same time. Besides that, the stores weren't normal. They sold strange things like hooks, horseshoes, and even animals he had never seen before. Julio managed to look at the face of a little girl who was passing by. She seemed normal, but when he focused, he saw that she had black eyes and a sinister expression. Julio didn't like that at all. He ran back to the bathroom, grabbed his phone, and tried to make a call to his family. But his phone wasn't working. There was no signal. Unable to contact anyone, he left the bathroom again. Luckily, things were back to normal. To this day, there is nothing that can prove or justify the parallel world of Sete Alem. The information we have is just stories told on the internet. Analyzing the information that has come up over the years, Sete Alem would be a parallel universe, and the portals to this bizarre place would be scattered throughout our world. To enter, you would just need to find these portals. But that's where the problem is. There's no way to identify them. So what we can conclude is that you'll only get to Sete Alem by mistake or by some kind of chance. You know what I mean, my friend? But what about you? Do you believe there could be portals to other dimensions? Or do you think this story is just meant to scare people? A lot of people still believe these stories to this day, folks, and some are even afraid to open doors or get on a bus. So that's it, guys. Don't forget to like this video because that way you'll be protected from any haunting for 7 days, okay? So that's it. I'll stop here and bye. Some time ago, a creepy creature appeared on the internet that kept a lot of people up at night. It's about Big Charlie, a large creature that looks like a mammal. It resembles some kind of bovine animal, but at the same time it has a protrusion on its face that looks like a bird's beak. Basically, it looks like a mutant animal with cow DNA and bird features. Its body is so thin that you can see its rib cage. You know, man, those rib bones, right? It also has a thick dark mane that goes from its head to the back of the creature. Its eyes are kind of whitish, which might indicate that the creature is blind, it can't see anything. It probably uses some other sense to orient itself geographically and to walk, right? Its legs are very long compared to its body. It's hard to even believe that those little legs can support its weight. Big Charlie is about 10 meters tall and is apparently docile. But if someone gets close to the creature, it could endanger their health. But we're not talking about physical damage, we're talking about molecular damage, man. For some reason, this creature emits a large amount of radiation. The simple fact that you're within 5 meters of it is enough to affect your body. It's believed that Big Charlie was a failed experiment made in a laboratory, and for some reason he escaped from captivity and now roams around cities. So my friends, if you see Big Charlie out there on the street, be careful. His radiation will turn you into a creature as well. Unlike other creatures that intend to do harm, Big Charlie doesn't show any signs of anger toward humans or anything like that. He just wanders aimlessly, feeding on plants, grass, and other things. Today we're going to learn about the story of Chupacabra. It is a creature responsible for systematic attacks in rural areas of several countries in the Americas. The name of the creature refers to the discovery of several dead goats on a farm in Puerto Rico. They were found with bite marks on their necks and their blood completely drained. Each one had 3 puncture wounds on the chest. Right after the first reports of the incidents in Puerto Rico, several animal deaths were reported in other regions. There are no records confirming the existence of this bizarre creature, and many say it doesn't exist. However, reports from farmers claim that the Chupacabra is real, that they always have to deal with. A farmer who wanted to keep his identity hidden claimed to have seen the Chupacabra on a full moon night. He was sleeping when he heard his goat screaming around 3 in the morning. Convinced that something was wrong, he grabbed his shotgun and went to see what was happening. When he got there, the creature was on top of one of the goats. According to the farmer, the creature looked like a hybrid between a reptile and a human. With some horns on its head and black eyes. When he aimed to shoot the creature, it ran away. The creature's speed is absurd. In a matter of seconds, it disappeared over the horizon. Looking at the poor animals on the ground, he found that only the females had been attacked. The males were ignored for some reason he doesn't know. Fences can't stop this creature, causing a big headache for the owners of these animals. So far, there haven't been any human victims, but it's always good to be careful, isn't it? What if this creature attacks a person? If you like this video, leave your like and keep watching more videos. Just click on the screen. Thanks. The big snake is a very old legend. It originated in the Amazon region, and it tells the story of a terrifying serpent. Not even the strongest warriors dared to challenge her. The Boyuna is a gigantic snake, and its proportions are lost in descriptions because of how immense it is. According to some versions, she can take the form of large boats or even ships, causing many sailors to get confused. Most of the time, she stays in the water waiting for her prey. According to the legends, she lures fishermen with her eyes. They shine so brightly that they are mistaken for torches or lanterns. When the fisherman sees that, he naturally goes to check what it is. When he is within her reach, Boyuna delivers her deadly attack. With a single bite, nothing is left. Other descriptions of the creature say that she can reflect the light of the moon, which she often uses to camouflage herself and catch her victims. She prefers to hunt humans, because that way she can transform into a human and go to the tribe's villages, infiltrate them to mate and have her descendants who will eventually take her place in the waters. A very famous legend about the creature tells the story of an indigenous woman who lived in the Amazon and ended up getting pregnant by the Boyuna. She had 2 children, a boy and a girl. They were born with a very different appearance. A hybrid form, but they looked more like snakes than humans. This made their mother throw them into the river. She thought that was a divine punishment and threw the children into the river. There in the cold waters they grew up and took their Boyuna form. Thus another cycle began. Today we're going to learn the story of Corpusicul. Legend has it that a long time ago there was a son who was very violent with his parents. He mistreated them for any reason, using everything from harsh words to even physical aggression against the elderly. The parents didn't understand why their son was like that, because he was raised with a lot of love and care. An example of these deplorable attitudes was when he woke up and his parents hadn't made coffee. That was enough to make him angry, and he threw the table at them. His mother was hurt with a serious head injury. His father kicked him out, wielding a knife. He was already tired of being mistreated. The young man grabbed his things and left the house furious. With nowhere to go, he went into a nearby bar. Later, he got into a bar fight and ended up dying over trivial reasons. When he died, he was rejected by God from entering paradise and even by Lucifer from going to hell. His repugnant actions made him so impure that his body was not buried. The very ground, disgusted by his presence, vomited his body out. So he was forced to wander around with his whole body rotting, still full of hatred in his heart, harming everyone who crossed his path. There are reports of people who saw the dried corpse near trees. According to them, this creature clings to the tree trunk, and when someone passes by, it jumps and gives a deadly hug. Its source of food is human blood. It's the only thing that stops its hunger. Leave your like so the dried corpse doesn't get you. A long time ago, a family lived near a coffee plantation in a village with other workers. The father worked in the fields picking coffee, and his wife took care of the house with their 2 children. However, their children were very different from each other. While one was kind and helped with the housework, the other was lazy and rude. He did nothing to help their parents. One morning, news arrived that some children were disappearing from the area, and there was a suspicion about who was doing this. It was an old woman who lived in the middle of the woods. No one knew much about this old woman. Only a few children had seen her wandering around the village. As soon as night began to fall, she told the children that her name was Cuia, and she liked to go to the windows of the houses to watch them sleep. So some men were gathered to look for her in the woods and see if they could find the children who had disappeared. They searched a lot, but they couldn't find anyone. There were no traces of anyone living in the forest. As night fell, everyone returned to their homes. At that time, it was common for everyone to sleep in the same room close to each other. The spoiled son wasn't sleepy, since he spent most of the day sleeping. He was a slacker, so he decided to prank his brother. He snuck out quietly and put a sheet over his head to pretend to be a ghost, right? But he stopped when he heard a noise coming from outside. He went to take a look and froze when he saw what was watching him. An old woman with a bizarre appearance, dark hair, and a face like an alligator. She asked if he was sleepy. "Aren't you sleepy, boy?" "I'm not sleepy."
Before he could answer, the old woman grabbed him in a matter of seconds with her gigantic mouth.
He started screaming like crazy, desperate, and that woke everyone in the house. The father, hearing all that screaming, went to get his axe to try to save his son, but it was already too late. Cuia had already fled the place and disappeared into the forest. Today, we're going to learn about the story of Curupira, also known by several other names like Kaipora, Kaisara, Kaapora, Anhanga, or Paidomato. All these names refer to an entity from Tupi-Guarani mythology, who is considered a protector of the forests and wild animals. Also known as the demon of the forest, he is depicted as a dwarf with long red hair and, bizarrely, with his feet turned backwards. Seeing him walk is a very disturbing sight, and many faint when they witness it. He is the greatest enemy of hunters, almost always preventing them from hunting in the forest. They try to track his footprints but give up when they follow his trail.
Huh, the footprints are pointing that way. There's nothing there, boss.
Damn.
Try again.
You idiots. Curupira, when he chases someone, usually rides a wild boar, which has the ability to run very fast over any type of terrain. When he finds his victim, he attacks. The indigenous people, to please him, started leaving offerings in the clearings. They also say that a person should bring a roll of tobacco or cachaça when entering the forest. Hunters, hoping not to be bothered by Curupira, started to offer these items. However, Curupira knows a person's intentions just by looking at them. His presence has been reported since the earliest days of colonization, and when someone disappears in the forest, many people from the countryside attribute the disappearance to Curupira. Hello my friends, this is Leo and welcome to another video. Today we're going to learn about the legend of the Dullahan, also known as the Headless Horseman. It's a type of myth from Irish folklore. This sinister being appears as a man or woman riding a black horse, and the rider doesn't have a head on their shoulders. Usually, the Dullahan carries their head under their arm with a dead and rotten appearance and a demonic smile spread across their face, ear to ear. This creature carries a whip made from the spine of its victims. This is its main weapon of attack. Sometimes it can be seen pulling a carriage that is adorned with funeral objects, such as candles in skulls to light the way. The spokes of the wheels are made from femurs. The cover of the carriage is made of dried skin. There he keeps the remains of the unlucky ones who cross his path. When Dullahan stops walking, you can be sure that someone will leave this world, and when he calls out the person's name, they perish immediately. That's why in cities where the creature is seen, people stop calling each other by name to avoid dying by accident. So, my dear Joseph Reidenstein, what was the good news of the day? Are you crazy, man? Why did you say my full name? Don't you know that Dullahan is out there? Do you believe in that legend, dear Joseph Reidenstein?
Damn, you said my name again.
Lazaretto, I'm leaving this place. I'm feeling something inside me.
Wasn't it true? All locks and gates open for him. The only way to keep him away is to have some gold object in your possession. Even a single pin made of this rare metal can drive the creature away and save your life. It is not known how they come from the Lahans, only that they appear in the middle of the night with their bizarre horse running and whipping anyone in their path. That's it, folks. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and goodbye. Today we're going to learn about the legend of Comadre Fulozinha. She is the spirit of a cabocla with long black hair that covers her entire body. Very agile, she lives in the forest protecting animals and plants against those who destroy nature. She has the ability to confuse the minds of people who enter her territory, making them get lost and unable to find their way out. She likes to receive gifts, especially oatmeal porridge, candies, and honey. When pleased, she quickly makes the game appear for the one who offered her the gift and allows them to leave the forest. Some elders claim to talk to her, usually at dawn near the forest. According to them, the spirit likes to approach elders because they don't pose a threat, and most importantly, they usually always give her something. She has a mischievous personality, sometimes mean, other times kind. It really depends on the person she meets. It is said that she violently cuts with her hair those who enter the forest without bringing an offering, and she also ties up the person's tongue. Stealthy, her whistle gets quieter the closer she is, making it seem like she's far away. She also likes to braid and tie knots in the manes and tails of horses. Only she can undo them, if she's pleased with treats, of course. Kuma de Fulozinha was a very energetic child and loved to play in the woods, but one day she wandered too far from home and ended up getting lost. After searching so much for the way back, she ended up dying of exhaustion. Her spirit began to wander through the forest in search of the way back.
However,
he adopted the forest as his new home. Today we're going to learn the story of Yara, a very interesting legend from Brazilian folklore. Legend has it that she is a beautiful mermaid who lives in the Amazon River. Her skin is tan, she has long black hair and brown eyes. Yara usually bathes in the rivers and sings an irresistible melody. That way, the men who hear her can't resist their desires and jump into the river. She has the power to blind those who admire her and to take to the bottom of the river any man she wishes to marry. The indigenous people believe so much in Yara's power that they avoid going near the rivers at dusk. Pray what she looks like. To avoid being lured, they put leaves or twigs in their ears in the hope of blocking out the sound.
wow, what a beautiful voice. I'm in love. Wait for me.
According to the legend, Yara was a warrior Indian, the best in the tribe, and received many compliments from her father, who was the shaman. Her brothers, jealous of Yara, decided to kill her at night while she slept. Yara, who had very sharp hearing, heard them approaching and killed them. Afraid of her father's reaction, Yara ran far away from her tribe. However, he organized searches and managed to find her hiding in the forest. As punishment for the deaths of her brothers, with an arrow in her heart, she was thrown into the meeting of the Negro and Solimois rivers. Some fish took
the young woman
to the bottom and turned her into a beautiful mermaid. Since then, Yara keeps singing her song and hypnotizing men. If you like this video, leave your like.